ఇంటర్మీడియట్ విద్యారంగంలో అగ్రగామి మన ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్. ఐఐటి, జేఈఈ అయినా, నీట్ అయినా తిరుగులేని విద్యా సంస్థ ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్.
Yes, continuation to the last class. Second part in the eye of the person is the eyeball. In the eye of the person, first one is said to be as the associated structure. Second part is said to be as the eyeball. Again in the eyeball, three distinct layers are present. In the eyeball of the person, again three distinct layers are present. Outermost layer is said to be as the fibrous tunic. Middle layer is said to be as the vascular tunic. Innermost layer is said to be as the nervous tunic. In the case of the eyeball, again three distinct layers are present. One is said to be as the fibrous tunic, second one is the vascular tunic, third one is the nervous tunic. This fibrous tunic is originated from mesoderm because it is with the fibrous connective tissue. Vascular tunic is also originated from mesoderm because it is with the rich blood supply, rich blood vessel. Nervous tunic is originated from ectoderm. It is originated from the ectoderm. Again in the fibrous tunic, two portions are present. In the case of the fibrous tunic, again two portions are present. One is cornea, second one is the sclera. Again the vascular tunic, three distinct portions are present. One is the choroid, one is said to be as the choroid or uvea. Second one is said to be as the ciliary body. Again third one is said to be as the iris. Definitely this vascular tunic, again with the three distinct portions. One is the choroid or uvea, second one is the ciliary body, third one is the iris. Again in the case of the nervous tunic, two portions are present. One is the melanin pigmented sheath. Melanin pigmented sheath. Second one is the retina. Second one is the retina. So in that way, in the case of the eyeball of the person, three distinct portions are present, the distinct layers are present. Of that, outer one is said to be as the fibrous tunic, middle one is said to be as the vascular tunic, inner one is said to be as the nervous tunic. Again in the case of the fibrous tunic, first part is the cornea, second part is the sclera. In the vascular tunic, again first one is the choroid, second ciliary body, third part is the iris. In nervous tunic, that is the innermost layer, definitely first layer is the melanin pigmented sheet, second one is the retina. Again when we observe the first, that is the outermost layer, that is said to be as the fibrous tunic. Definitely in the case of the eyeball, outermost white colored layer which is present, that kind of the outermost white color layer is said to be as the sclera. This is the outermost layer. This is the outermost layer of eyeball. This is the outermost layer of the eyeball. This outermost layer is said to be as the fibrous tunic. Again in the case of the outermost layer, posterior part, means from this onwards to this, posterior part which is present, this posterior portion is said to be as the sclera. This is said to be as the sclera. Again anterior part means from this onwards to this part is said to be as the cornea. This is said to be as the cornea. Outermost portion which is present, that is said to be as the cornea. Again posterior portion which is present in fibrous tunic, that is said to be as the sclera. Definitely this is the visible white colored part of the eye. Whatever the white colored part which is appears to us, whatever the white colored visible portion which is appears to us, that is nothing but sclera. This is the white colored visible part. This is the white colored visible part. It is made up of with fibrous tissue. Definitely fibrous connective tissue is involved in the formation of this sclera. So that only it is rigid. It is rigid and stiff. So that only it provides the protection to the inner parts. So definitely whatever the white colored visible part which is there in our eye, that is said to be as the sclera. It is made up of with fibrous connective tissue. It is very rigid and stiff. It is without blood supply. It is avascular. It is without blood supply. So that only it is said to be as the avascular part. It provides the protection to the inner. It provides the distinct shape to the eyeball also. Because of due to its rigidity, because of its stiffness, definitely it provides the protection. It provides protection to inner parts. inner parts, and also it provides a distinct shape. It provides shape to eyeball. Definitely this kind of this sclera is responsible to provide the distinct shape to that kind of the eyeball, and it also provides the protection to the inner parts. It is the avascular, means it is without blood supply. It is very stiff and strong, very stiff and rigid because of due to fibrous connective tissue. Definitely it is look like as white in color. It is the white colored visible part. Anteriorly it is becomes flexible. It is becomes flexible in order to transform into cornea. Anteriorly this sclera loses its rigidity, it becomes flexible. That kind of the flexible part is said to be as the cornea. Definitely it is the transparent. Cornea is transparent. Cornea is avascular. It acts as sort of fixed lens. It is refractive. It is refractive in nature. Then what is the meaning of the transparent? It always allows the pass of the light through it. It always allows the pass of the light through it into the eyeball. So that only that is the transparent. This is without blood supply. This cornea is also without blood supply. So that only that is avascular. It acts as the sort of fixed lens. Means its shape never gets changes. Though it can reflect the light onto the next part, though it can be useful to reflect the light onto the next part of the eye, though it is acts as the lens for reflection of the light, but its shape never gets changes. This corneal shape never gets changes. So that only it is said to be as the, it acts as sort of fixed lens. It acts as sort of fixed lens. Definitely this kind of the cornea is useful for reflection of the light onto the next part. By that way it is acts as the lens, but its shape is never gets changes. So that is said to be as the, it acts as sort of fixed lens. It is refractive. Definitely it can reflect the light onto the next part in the eye. This cornea reflect light onto the next part of the eye. So that only it is said to be as the, it is refractive. So in that way cornea is transparent, cornea is avascular, it acts as the sort of the fixed lens, it is the refractive. Again over that kind of the cornea, smooth membrane which is present, delicate membrane which is present, that is said to be as the conjunctiva. Definitely mucous membrane which is present around to the cornea. Mucous membrane which is present around to the cornea. Delicate membrane which is present around to the cornea to provide the protection. That membrane is said to be as the conjunctiva. Definitely conjunctiva is also transparent. This is also transparent. This is also avascular. This is also refractile. Means it also allows the pass of the light through it. So that only it is the transparent, and it is also without blood supply. So it is the avascular. It also reflects the light onto the inner side of the eyeball. Whatever the light which is falls on the conjunctiva, at first that light is reflected onto the cornea. Later light which is falls on the cornea, that will be reflected onto the inner part of the eye. So that definitely conjunctiva is also refractile. Conjunctiva is also with the refractile nature, means that also reflect the light onto the cornea. Next, where the sclera and the cornea joined with each other, in that particular area, one canal which is present, this canal is said to be as the scleral venous sinus or canal of Schlemm. Canal of Schlemm. Schlemm canal, that is said to be as the canal of Schlemm or scleral venous sinus. That is the canal that is present between the cornea and the sclera. Where that kind of the sclera is joined with the cornea, in that particular site, in that particular junction, whatever the canal which is present, that kind of the canal is said to be as the scleral venous sinus or canal of Schlemm. Again, second part which is present in the case of the eyeball, that is said to be as the vascular tunic. Again, in the case of the vascular tunic, below to the sclera, whatever the rich blood supply part which is present, this is said to be as the choroid. This is said to be as the choroid or uvea. This part is said to be as the choroid or uvea. Just below to the sclera, the part which is present, which is rich with the blood supply, that part is said to be as the choroid or uvea. Definitely this choroid or uvea is bluish in color. It is bluish in color. It is with rich blood supply. Definitely more and more number of the blood vessels are present in the case of the choroid. So that only that is look like as bluish in color. This kind of the rich blood supply, rich blood vessel containing layer is said to be as the choroid or uvea. That is the uvea. Anteriorly, this choroid shows the swelling. In both sides anteriorly, this choroid shows the swelling in order to form a pigmented structure. This pigmented structure is said to be as the ciliary body. This swelled part is said to be as the ciliary body. Both the sides of the choroid anteriorly shows the swelling to form a dark colored pigmented structure that is said to be as the ciliary body. Definitely it is black in color. It is the black in color. It is opaque in nature. Definitely it is the non-transparent ciliary body which is present that may not allows the pass of the light through it. It is black in color, it is with the dark pigmented that may not allows the pass of the light through it. So that only that is the opaque in nature. Again, definitely from this kind of the ciliary body, whatever the flagella like structures which may be projected on either side, that kind of the flagella like structures are said to be as the ciliary process. Flagella like structures which may be arises from both the sides of the ciliary body. This flagella like structures are said to be as the ciliary process. Ciliary process. Definitely cilia like structures are the flagella like structures which may be formed from either side of the ciliary body are said to be as the ciliary process. This ciliary process principally useful to secrete aqueous humor and vitreous humor. Definitely ciliary process always useful to secrete vitreous humor, that is the substance which is present between the cornea and the lens. Definitely here lens is present. This is the lens. This is the lens. Between the lens and the cornea, whatever the chamber which is present, this chamber is said to be as the aqueous chamber. This is said to be as the aqueous chamber. Between the cornea and the lens, whatever the space which is present, that space is said to be as the aqueous chamber. In the aqueous chamber, whatever the liquid which is present, whatever the fluid which is present, fluid which is secreted from the ciliary process, that fluid is said to be as the aqueous humor. Definitely into the aqueous chamber nothing but between the cornea, this is the cornea, this is the lens, between these two whatever the space which is present here, that space is said to be as the aqueous humor. Into the aqueous humor, ciliary process secrete a liquid like substance, that liquid is said to be as the aqueous humor. Definitely in the aqueous chamber, aqueous humor is present. Posterior to lens, means this is the lens, this is the posterior. Behind the lens, whatever the space which is present in the eyeball, that is said to be as the vitreous chamber. that is said to be as the vitreous chamber. Posterior to lens, this is the lens, this is a posterior space. Posterior to lens, whatever the chamber which is present, that is said to be as the vitreous chamber. In vitreous chamber, whatever the substance which is present, that substance is said to be as the vitreous humor. In the case of the vitreous chamber, whatever the jelly-like substance which is present, but not liquid-like, jelly-like substance which is present, that is said to be as the vitreous humor. This is the clear, this is very thin, this is liquid-like. Definitely, aqueous humor is very clear, that is very thin, that is liquid-like. But vitreous humor is with colloidal, is with jelly-like. Definitely it is with the semi-solid nature. This vitreous humor is with the semi-solid nature, but this aqueous humor is very clear, thin and liquid-like. So this kind of the aqueous humor is present in the aqueous chamber, means here. This vitreous humor is present in the vitreous chamber, means here. Again, from this kind of the ciliary process or few ciliary process or shows highly foldings, and finally they may be connected to the lens. Definitely, from the both sides of the ciliary body, ciliary process, few ciliary process which may be with a highly folding, which may be attaches to the lens, that kind of the ciliary process are said to be as the ciliary process are said to be as the suspensory ligaments. Suspensory ligaments. The ciliary process which connect to the lens, which useful to keep lens in its original position, that kind of the ciliary process are said to be as the suspensory ligament. The ciliary process which may be connected to the lens to keep lens in its original position, that kind of the ciliary process is said to be as the suspensory ligament. Again, in the case of the ciliary body, specialized muscles are present to changes the shape of the ciliary body to finally alter the shape of the lens also. What kind of the muscles are present in the ciliary body means? Ciliary muscle. Ciliary muscles, smooth muscle which is present in the ciliary body, smooth muscle which are present in the ciliary body are said to be as the ciliary muscle. These are the circular and smooth muscles. Definitely these are circular muscle, these are the smooth muscle. Whenever these muscles are contracted, ciliary body becomes elongated. By that way, both sides of the suspensory ligaments pulls or pushes this lens towards the center. Whenever this kind of the muscles are contracted, definitely this ciliary body becomes elongated. Whenever these muscles are contracted, ciliary body becomes elongated. that becomes so narrow and elongated. Then both the sides of the suspensory ligaments pushes, it becomes shorter and wider like this. By that way, both the sides of the suspensory ligaments pull this lens on both sides. By that way, this lens is becomes narrow and elongated like that way. For adjusting the lens to far and near vision, for adjusting the lens for the far and near vision, this ciliary muscles may be contracted or relaxes. For example, if we want to view the object which is present far distant to our eye, to view that kind of the far distant object, far distant means object which is present far away to our eye, to view that, at first the ciliary muscle which is present in ciliary body are relaxes. They relaxes. As a result of this, ciliary body is becomes wider and shorter. Whenever these muscles are relaxed, ciliary body is becomes wider. By that way, suspensory ligaments pull. Both the sides of the suspensory ligaments are moved to down. By that way, both the sides of the suspensory ligaments pull both the sides of the edges of the lens. By that way, lenses becomes narrow and elongated. Means for the far vision, this lens have to becomes elongated and narrow. Otherwise, if the object is very close to our eye, that is said to be as the near vision. Definitely during the near vision, ciliary muscles are contracted. They get so contracted. By that way, ciliary body is becomes elongated. Whenever the ciliary muscles are gets contracted, then definitely ciliary body is becomes narrow and long or elongated. By that way, this suspensory ligaments of both sides, are also causes the pressure over the lens. They also causes the pressure over the lens on both sides. By that way, this lens is becomes short and wider. In that way, definitely ciliary muscles are useful to alter the shape of the lens for adjusting it to far and near vision. Again, from the outer margin of ciliary body, from the outer margins of ciliary body, whatever the dark colored, whatever the black colored structures which maybe gets projected, that kind of the structures are said to be as the iris. This is said to be as the iris. From both the sides also, from the outer margin of ciliary body, from the both side, whatever the black colored pigmented structures which may be projected towards the or into the aqueous chamber, that kind of the structure is said to be as the iris. These are dark black in color. Definitely these are the black colored structures. These are opaque. These are visible black colored structures. Definitely in our eye, whatever the visible black colored structure which is present, that is said to be as the iris. They may not allows the pass of the light through them. They never allows the pass of the light through them. So that only they are said to be as the opaque. They act as diaphragm of camera. Definitely this iris is comparable with the diaphragm of camera, because between the both sides of the iris, whatever the opening which is present, between these two sides of the iris, whatever the opening which is present, that is said to be as the pupil. That is said to be as the pupil. The size of the pupil is always depends upon the position of the both sides of the iris. Definitely, both the sides of the iris, if they move away from each other, both the sides of the iris, if they maybe moves away from each other, size of the pupil gets increases. Space which is present between the two sides of the iris is said to be as the pupil. Definitely, both the sides of the iris, if they maybe moves away from each other, definitely pupil size increases. Otherwise, if both the sides of iris comes close, then automatically pupil size gets decreases. In that way, this iris principally useful to regulate the size of the pupil, to regulate the entry of the amount of the light into eyeball. For example, if in the external environment bright light is present, if in the external environment bright light is present, during that both the sides of the iris comes close, they reduces the size of the iris, reduces the size of the pupil. By that way, very little amount of the bright light is entered into our eye. Because if the bright light is entered into our eye with a large amount, definitely retina of the person gets damages. If high intensity of the light with bright nature, if it is entered into the eyeball with a higher amount, that must be causes the damage to the retina. So that only, if in the external environment bright light is present with high intensity, during that both the sides of the iris comes close, by that way pupil size gets decreases. By that way, little amount of the light is entered into the eyeball finally. Otherwise, if in the external environment dim light is present, if in the external environment dim light is present which is with low intensity, during that both the sides of the iris moves away from each other. By that way, size of the pupil gets increases. By that way, higher amount of the light gets entered into the eyeball. In that way, depending upon the environmental light intensity, depending upon the nature of the light in the environment, this kind of the pupil may be, this kind of the iris may be comes close or moves away from each other, to regulate the size of the pupil, to allow the or to regulate the amount of the light which have to be entered into eyeball. In that way, definitely this iris acts as diaphragm of a camera. Definitely in the camera also, whatever the diaphragm which is present, that is useful for adjusting of light entry. that is useful for regulation of the entry of light into the camera. Like that way here also, this both sides of the iris principally useful to regulate the size of the pupil for regulation of the entry of the amount of the light into the eyeball. In that way,
ఇంటర్మీడియట్ విద్యారంగంలో అగ్రగామి మన ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్. ఐఐటి జేఈఈ అయినా నీట్ అయినా తిరుగులేని విద్యా సంస్థ ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్.